get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Sit Down Morning Show with Malik Wright, presented by TWSN, the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined as always by my co-host, my best friend, my guy, Daniel Alameda. What's going on, Daniel?
Nothing much, man. I'm excited for this. We got a loaded show today. I'm excited.
Got a lot of stuff to talk about, but before we even jump into the show, I want to just start off by saying, if you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the TWSN studios. We've got a busy week. Got an awesome interview dropping at 7 p.m. Friday with Bengals first round draft pick this past year, Shamar Stewart. A lot of great insights. Talked about teams who passed him up. Talked about the chip that was on his shoulder, teams that's promised him they was going to draft him, and so much more. Can't wait to get into it. But you know what, Daniel? I'm going to start the show off in a weird way that we never had before. But I want to start off by saying, remember, fish are your friends. We don't eat them. We don't eat them. Do you know where that's from?
No clue.
The Reds tweeted that out because the Cincinnati Reds are officially playoff bound. And to help me talk about this a little bit more, we got TWSN journalist, my guy, Blake Flynn, joining us for the first time on the Sit Down Morning Show. What's up, Blake?
Hey, how we doing? Exciting times. Grateful to be here. I know this was a little kind of last minute plan and everything, but like I said, just happy to be here. I've always been watching. Obviously, we have the connection, Malik, working together, but excited to finally be on one of these things, especially when you come and talk playoff baseball.
Well, listen, it wasn't my choice to have it take this long, but leave it to the Cincinnati Reds to wait till literally the final game of the year, or the last weekend of the year, to even clinch the playoffs. So, Blake, you know, there are a lot of people with some thoughts on, you know, the Reds obviously pushing through the playoffs. They don't have the most welcoming opponent, I would say. It's a pretty tall task. Talk to me about the Reds taking on the Dodgers and what your outlook is on that playoff matchup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, hasn't been a lot of success in Cincinnati in playoff baseball in a while. We're kind of on that Bengals run drought of playoff appearances, being over 30 plus years since actually winning. So we've seen that far too well, especially with the Bengals recently. But what a way to get back into your first full playoff series. We're not going to talk about the COVID season. That's whatever. But yeah, you get to go against the defending reigning champions of the world in the Los Angeles Dodgers. And a huge task, I think, is a little bit of an understatement. It's almost impossible, no matter who you are, to play a team like them in the playoffs. And rightfully so. I mean, from the first guy in the lineup to the bottom and everyone in the coaching staff, they are baseball's juggernaut. And we're going to see three of their best potentially if it gets to that game one. It's going to be Blake Snell. Blake Snell, in one of his most recent starts against the Reds, threw a no-hitter against them. Game two, arguably my most feared pitcher of the matchup, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, kind of had a rough first year in the league and then has kind of picked it up and turned it around this year. And then game three, if necessary, we're going to face Shohei Ohtani. And, you know, there's always talking points about Shohei Ohtani, whether he needs to be a more valuable pitcher, more valuable hitter. But the thing is, he is Shohei Ohtani. So it is going to be rough no matter how you draw it. But we have seen crazier things happen before. I mean, you look at last postseason, the 6-seeded Tigers defeated the Astros, almost ending their dynasty. I know that was something I wrote about a lot last year. And then making it to the ALDS against the Guardians last year, the 6-seeded New York Mets, who I know there's a lot of talk about, made it all the way from the 6th seed round one, defeated, you know, the Phillies, and just made it all the way to the NLCS. So while it is a tough task for the Cincinnati Reds, and obviously the matchup is not in their favor, you have to remember this is playoff baseball. Anything can happen. That's why it's so beautiful. My favorite time of the year because it's just we're Cinderella. It's like March Madness for me personally, just because I'm a huge baseball guy. But definitely going to be tough. But anything can happen.
For sure. And just looking at it, to be honest with you, like I agree with you. This is an extremely tall task. But when you look at the series and when you look at baseball, and this is what I want you to kind of touch on a little more, is more the intricacies of these matchups. But the sportsbooks have the Reds at plus 205. And the bottom line is there is 3 games. You got to win 2. So it's not like NBA. It's not a 7-game series, at least for the wild card. So talk to me about the possibility. How do the Reds, go out and shock LA in LA? How can it happen? Is it realistic?
I think it's very realistic, and I think the biggest thing it starts with is our pitching, especially when it comes to the starters. I mean, obviously, facing those 3 is going to be tough, but then you have to be able to go out there and hold your own on your side of the mound. Obviously, we're probably going to see – I don't think the order has officially been announced yet, but I'm assuming for these 3 games, you're going to see Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and more than likely Andrew Abbott. Those 3 have pitched really well and have become – staples in this Reds rotation. And, a lot of people say that the Reds potentially have one of the better rotations in baseball. So you have to see that live out. All you have to do is see Hunter Green go out there, toss a gem, give up no more than maybe 2 runs, because especially in playoff baseball, a lot of the games are low scoring. You don't get these big offensive matchups. You just get a lot of bare-boned pitching duels, and then whoever can scrape a run across first pretty much gets it done. So you just have to have your starters go out there and be great. And then once it gets time for them to come out, you have to make sure that your bullpen is locked and loaded and ready to go, not making up crucial mistakes. And that goes with the defense behind them too. Obviously Ellie has made a lot of errors. You can't do that in the postseason because that is what loses you games the most, especially when your pitching is so locked down as it is.
For sure. So on this note, let's go one player, right? Give me one player that you've circled for the Reds and for the Dodgers that, hey, this is the play that could really turn this series around and really make a massive impact, whether it be in game 1 or the entire series.
Yeah, I think for the Reds, it ultimately comes down to Matt McLain. Obviously, thought of one of the best second baseman in the entire league coming into this season, has battled some injuries, has battled some poor play. It's been a rough season for him. Confidence for him right now is probably at the all-time low. But you have to be able to quickly set that aside and go into the postseason with a new mindset, like it's a new season. And I think what Matt McLain does better is have kind of that positive mindset. You don't really see him get down on himself a lot like maybe other people would. He's great for us defensively. He's just not figuring it out in the batter's box. So I think if we get an offensive turnaround from him, especially in game 1, I think he's going to be a huge key. Another guy I look at, maybe Ke'Bryan Hayes, obviously star-studded third baseman defensively, probably going to get a lot of reps there. He's going to be important, but he's got to figure out offensively too. And then for the Dodgers, I mean, let's be honest, you can really pick anyone. I mean, obviously you have all the big names, but if you want to look at a smaller name, and this is kind of a little Ball State shout if he makes the roster, but I think Alex Call could be their Tommy Edman from last season. Obviously, he won World Series MVP. He was a big part of their thing. The Dodgers always seem to have that sneaky utility guy that when he gets his moment in the lineup just goes crazy and has a historic postseason. So I'm looking at him. I'm looking at guys like there's too many to name, honestly, but I think Alex Call definitely is the one I would circle the most to kind of be that breakout player for them.
Well, I don't know if you want to add to that, but Tito deserves a lot of credit. There were a lot of people that were excited about his arrival in Cincinnati. Well, it paid off, right? The Reds are back in the playoff hunt. Listen, I want to shift over from the Reds talk to the Mets talk. You needed the Mets to do exactly what the Mets did in order for the Reds to make it into playoffs. But talk to me, where do the Mets go from here, right? You go out there, they have one of the highest salary caps amongst the entire MLB, right? The highest. You second. You said second. Okay, second. They went out there. They signed. They had Pete Alonso, right? They have Francisco Lindor. Where do they go from here, right? And I think Alonso just announced yesterday that he is going to be pretty much opting out of his contract. But I really want to know, with Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, where do they go? Because this was supposed to be the year that the Mets were supposed to break through, and to not even make the playoffs is definitely got to be seen as a huge disappointment. So talk to me. Where do the Mets go from here, Blake?
Yeah, obviously very disappointing. I mean, like you mentioned, Daniel, second highest payroll in all of baseball behind the Dodgers, 341 million. And what do you get to show for it? You get bounced out of the playoffs by two teams that are basically a third less of the total payroll by you just uniting in the power of friendship, as we call it. So where do the Mets go from here? Personally, I have my ideas. I think they should fire their manager, Carlos Mendoza. Obviously, he has a winning record overall, and he obviously led them to the National League Championship season last year. But he's just lost them so many games that should not have been lost. And it was almost an embarrassing fashion how he ended up losing those games for him. Sometimes he would just forget who was available in the bullpen, try to bring in one guy, but actually have another guy come out. But all reports seem that he is going to stay. Personally, I think that's the wrong decision. And then the big thing too, obviously, like you mentioned, Pete Alonso. We saw this last season. He tested the free agency market, came back for a 2-year, $54 million deal, just opted into his player option. So he's going to test the waters again. I personally don't see a world where Alonso comes back. So if he does not come back, which I think, again, is the more than likely scenario, you have to figure out whether that core of Lindor, Soto, and guys like Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, who have both had their struggles, you have to determine right then and there if it's worth it to continue to build with this team. I mean, obviously, two key pieces in Lindor and Soto, obviously good enough to scream, hey, we're a playoff team. Like, come join us. And we know the Mets aren't going to have problems bringing in big name free agents. I think their pitching lacks a little more than the lineup. So I think they need to bring in a lot more pitching, especially in the starting rotation. But I mean, again, I would fire Mendoza. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I think a lot of it is going to depend on what Pete Alonso decides to do. But as of now, I do not see this team as a contender next season.
For sure. And one last thing on that point, too. I mean, obviously, we've had this talk about MLB. I mean, 342 million versus the Reds are at what, 120 million for their payroll is a crazy discrepancy. But talk to me about the Mets. What contributed to their fall off? I mean, they were the #1 seed and they choked. They had one of the worst records over the back half of the season. What contributed and what made them end up missing the playoffs?
Yeah, I think a lot of it came down to some guys that I mentioned earlier. Down the stretch, Francisco Alvarez and Mark Vientos weren't really playing well. That's their starting catcher and third baseman. They were guys that had also been injured, that were key plug-and-play pieces at one time into becoming now standalone the guys at those positions. They did not really play well. And then again, like I said, their pitching really cost them a lot of games. They have two really great young guys in Jonah Tong and Nolan McLean who did phenomenal for them. They were great. But it was the other guys. Griffin Canning getting injured definitely hurt them. He was a guy that I was super high on this season as kind of like a comeback player of the year guy for the MLB, doing really good. Edwin Diaz looked great some games and looked horrible the next game. So if he is going to be the guy, the closer in New York, he needs to figure it out real quick. But overall, just pitching, some key players not playing well. I think Soto and Lindor did fine for what it's worth. Cedric Mullins, who they brought in at the deadline, was not the greatest. So that may be another piece there. But I think overall, a lot of it depended on the way Mendoza used these guys in the lineup and in the bullpen.
For sure. So, Blake, you haven't given us a prediction, man. What do you got? Looking at the Reds, 3-game series, all 3 games would be in LA. Who do you got winning and why?
You know, maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. I got the Reds. There's just something magical about postseason baseball. I think realistically, how they do this is they split the first 2 and then win game 3. I think Hunter Green can outduel Blake Snell. And if that's the case, I think we win game 1. Game 2 against Yamamoto, I think might be a little bit different. Hopefully we throw someone like Lodolo that game, even though he just pitched last week. So I would assume it would be Abbott. And then game 3 coming down to Lodolo or Abbott against Shohei Ohtani, who, again, Shohei Ohtani, best player in baseball, so-called. But he hasn't really had the best success coming back from pitching. So I think being able to sneak one out against Shohei in game 3 with Lodolo on the mound, more than likely, I think is the way the path goes. When it comes to the actual playoffs, I know for my World Series, I'll just go ahead and give that to. I got the Phillies and the Mariners, and I got the Phillies winning. I think Kyle Schwarber is going to submit his case as the NL MVP, as he should, against Cal Riley, who should also be the AL MVP. And I think that Philadelphia just has a lot more of that nitty-gritty playoff experience that you need to win games in October.
Listen, that's Blake Flynn, everybody. Listen, Blake, thank you so much for for your first time on the show, talking baseball with us, playoff baseball. I know you're pretty ecstatic. You were pumped up. You were ready for this. So congratulations to you, man, the entire Reds organization, Reds fan base. I know you guys are pumped up. Best of luck, as well as I know the games start tomorrow. But thank you for joining us, man, on the morning show.
I appreciate you for having me.
Yes, sir. We'll have you hopefully soon. We'll be discussing a Reds victory over the Dodgers. So we'll talk to you, my man.
Love it. See you guys.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
If you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live. That was Blake Flynn joining us again for the morning show. We appreciate him. Listen, make sure you guys stay tuned to the show. My good buddy Benjamin Allbright will be joining us on the show a little bit later to discuss Bengals, Broncos, and previewing that exciting matchup for tonight. I want to talk about Liam Coen and Robert Saleh. I didn't expect that to be a thing until it became a thing. We obviously know Robert Saleh had some comments he made, right? He made some comments about them pretty much. I want to make sure I say the correct word, sign stealing, right? We all know sign stealing is a thing that gets people up in arms if you're an Ohio State fan or you're a Michigan fan. That's a thing that has been talked about in recent years. But there was a lot of back and forth throughout the week, and then it spilled over into after the game, where we thought was just, Liam Coen didn't want to shake hands with the guy, whatever the case may be. He actually had some words for him. Marissa, roll the clip.
Liam and Saleh were exchanging words. Are you surprised that, I assume over sign stealing, are you surprised that Coen maybe wasn't thrilled about that?
No, try to clear it up, but I didn't see what happened, so I'm not sure. Don't think you should be that sensitive about it, but it is what it is. Not too worried about it.
I love the emotion of this. Liam Coen, to me, though, a little bit emotional guy, like Kyle Shanahan said. You know, it was interesting because when you watch that clip back, Robert Saleh is walking by him. He's shaking his head down, not wanting to shake hands with Robert Saleh, Liam Coen, that is. And then immediately he turns around and says, "Keep my name out of your mouth. Keep my name out of your mouth." I don't know, man. Where I'm from, Sam, a little bit a word I won't use, but it seemed forced. It seemed forced, but I do like the fact that he's standing 10 toes down. I do love the parody that is involved with that. I think that this is something that Robert Saleh's got to, I guess, realize that, you know, what you say in the media can have a tendency to get blown out of proportion. And if you don't have a direct relationship with that said coach, especially a first-time head coach, it could be taken all sorts of ways. This really reminded me, though, Daniel, of Jim Harbaugh and what's it called? Jim Schwartz back in Detroit Lions. It was a little bit toned down version of that, but keep my name out of your mouth come from Liam Coen. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I think it's hilarious, man. This is what the NFL needs. Like, it's the same thing with, we were talking about Pat Bev and Trae Young. I love conflict, man. This is what sports is about. And the number one thing is the Jaguars are going to rally behind this for sure. You just know how teams are with their head coach, whether they view it as corny or not. You know, they're hyping up their guy saying, Liam, go get him. Like, when Robert was apparently saying what he said after, you know, he said, I will do so-and-so to you. The Jaguars players are laughing at him, you know, smiling because they're like, hey, my guy over there, we won. I think the Jaguars team is going to rally behind this, but I do agree. It's like, it's a little sensitive, bro. Like, you're walking past him and no. And then you turn around and then say, keep my name out your mouth. Like, what are we doing? He's a little bit of a over-exaggerate, I will say. We saw the same thing with the Trevor Lawrence thing, right? He's like, put it right on his chest. Like, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but yeah, I don't know if that was fully necessary, but at the end of the day, he can do what he wants.
I've got no problem with it.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with it.
Yeah.
The only pushback I will say is say it to the dude's face. That's the only thing I'd say. Don't say it when the dude is walking around. Listen, at the end of the day, the NFL is built on parity. There's so much that's involved. It's the reason why the NFL literally has done a great job of staying relevant all year round. They've turned this into a spectacle. But when you have coaches like Liam Coen, it's been a while since we've had a coach that showed this type of fire. Like, usually you get the same old dry coach speak, not too much more that needs to be necessarily said into that. But I don't know. I found it pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I'm going to double down on it. Like, the team always rallies behind their head coach. And you just know from a locker room standpoint, after when they went into that locker room and they were hyping him up, you know that, like, whether they saw it as corny or not, that helps him in the locker room. So shout out to him. And I think they're 3-1. They're surprising a lot of people right now.
You know, there are a few coaches that I think fit the temperament and the style of their team to a T. One of them that comes to mind is Nick Sirianni. He went from, we have to make sure that we learn our systems, guys, and all that, right, to being just the guy that fully embodies Philly and tough and roughness and gutsy and standing up for your guys and cursing out reps when there needs to be. So now Liam Coen, who went from the awkward Duval to this, right? Listen, I don't know if you've ever been to Jacksonville, Daniel. You have, okay. So if you know anything about Jacksonville and them Florida boys, they got a little bit of edge to them, right? They got a little bit of attitude. They got a little bit of, you know, it's not all in giggles out there in Jacksonville. So when you got a coach that is willing to go to bat for you, when you got a coach that is willing to stand 10 toes down for you, man, I don't know if Liam Coen has done a better job than what he has so far than rallying the troops behind him, getting the city of Jacksonville around him, getting this organization around him. You need that type of fire. You want to see that type of fire, man. So I don't know. Liam Coen, you're making a fan out of me. You know, this is a guy that's praised and lauded for his offensive play calling, and he gets the most out of his guys. This is exciting because you were starting to wonder, was this team seen as a little bit of a soft team with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, right? And then, you know, look at the coaches that they've had, whether it be Urban Meyer and all the issues that they've had come through. Well, it seems like it's finally turning the corner here. I don't want to speak too soon, but I like the edge that Liam Coen has shown so far. Just my thoughts. Again, if you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. I want to react to a quick tweet really quickly. A.J. Brown finally seems to be losing his patience. I don't know if you guys can see what that says, but pretty much he went out there, he put out a quote and you know, pretty much saying that if he's not wanted, yada yada XYZ. Anyway, yesterday A.J. Brown 2 catches, 7 yards. He was targeted. The route tree was abysmal. It seems like he's more so of a decoy out there. We talked about it on the show a few weeks back as to at what point would A.J. Brown start to show his feathers were a little bit ruffled, and it seems like they're starting to show that. Danny, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I respect him for being a wide receiver one. I respect him for wanting the ball. And this shouldn't be shocking, right? Go out and look at what he said after the Super Bowl. It was very clear. He made a post. He said, hey, I expected this to feel more, but at the end of the day, my feeling and my love of the game comes from one-on-one against a DB. It comes from seeing that DB drop his head after I head top him. It comes after me dominating a defensive back. That's the thrill of his game. So I understand where he's coming from, but Malik, at the end of the day, this is a tough look because, bro, they're not 3-1. They're not 2-2. They're not 1-3. They are 4-0. They have won 21 of their past 22 games. And for him to be saying this because of the lack of targets, I do think that this is going to rear its ugly head at some point. I don't expect him to be long in Philly. He's got a 4-year contract up until 2029. I don't expect him to see the life of that contract just because of the way it's going. But at the end of the day, this isn't surprising me because they have a new offensive coordinator. They have Jalen Hurts, who's throwing the ball 22 times a game. But I also think that this gets corrected. You saw last week, they made him a focal point. Dude had 9 targets, 6 receptions for 120 and a touchdown. They just got to get him the ball. They have to. But the reason why I feel very confident saying that this isn't a long-term solution is because they are 4-0. They are winning football games. And it's the style of football that Philly wants to play. They want to play nitty-gritty, and they want to play team-first atmosphere. And whichever way you slice it, A.J. Brown is making it very clear, I'm not going to cause a problem, but I am in it for myself as well. And I respect him for that. He is a wide receiver one. He is one of the top 10 wide receivers, but it is more so about him than the team because there's no other way you can slice it. They are 4-0, and maybe it could have been an easier 4-0, but you are 4-0. And if you're Philly, you have to look at it at some point and say, hey, if he starts causing a problem, because I don't believe he's causing a full problem right now, but if he starts causing a problem, maybe at some point you start having these conversations. But I wouldn't entertain it because he's a dominant player and he is on one of the best contracts in the NFL.
Well, I think legacy's got to count for something here. And I think no matter which way you slice it, the Eagles are right because they're winning. A.J. Brown is right because he's not getting the ball. Listen, he's been on teams, right, that fell short, and that was the Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. He's now been on a team that has appeared in a Super Bowl and has won a Super Bowl. He knows what this feeling is like. But I think because he's already accomplished that feeling of winning, right, a championship, what else are you playing for? Do you want to just be out there running empty routes? Do you want to be more than just a decoy? Yeah. I really think A.J. Brown, I kind of side with him here a little bit. They got to find a way to get the guy more ball, the ball more. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. They got to find a way to get him the ball more. Yeah, they have to, right? And I know he was targeted with like 9 times, something like that, but the route tree was just so poor. It was so poor. So many missed throws, man. And you just expect them at this point to be a bigger focal point of the offense. 2 receptions for 7 yards. What impact did he have on the game? Probably feeling like none. He's probably feeling like absolutely no impact he's had on the game. But outside of just talking about A.J. Brown potentially wanting out at some point, you know what a team that I would like to see go all in and push for him? The Buffalo Bills. I would love that. I would love that. And I know people are going to try to make the Stephon Diggs comparison. I disagree, though. I think A.J. Brown has been the absolute professional regarding this. He's held on quietly for the most part, more so than what other receivers would have. Now we're starting to see a little bit more of the diva side because they are undefeated. But 2 catches, 7 yards, that's the best you could do for me? I don't know. I don't think he's being a diva about this. We said it a couple weeks ago. They need to find a way to get him more involved. They just need to. That is why he is your number 1 wide receiver. That is why you pay him what you pay him. He is on the team-friendly deal. But let me ask you this question, Daniel. Yep. Do you think if he's on a better team, do you think that A.J. Brown makes a bigger impact somewhere else? Do you think his numbers are better?
On a better team? That's the...
or let's say, not even a better team. Don't take
on a different team.
On a different team. A team that's more pass-heavy.
Oh, totally.
Right. So do you think that A.J. Brown is a top 10 receiver?
Yes.
Top 5?
Borderline.
Okay, so you think he has the skill sets to do that, to top 7?
Yeah.
Okay. So you agree with this sentiment that his talents right now are sort of being wasted?
Totally.
Right. I don't think we get this, quote unquote, as KP from KC5 says in the conversation, crying A.J. Brown if he is actually included, right? You want to feel something. You want to feel a part. It's almost like the dude that participated in a class project, that actually wound up winning an award, but actually didn't do anything. It's like, I guess I'm celebrating because I'm a part of the team. I don't know. But let us know down in the comment section what you guys' thoughts are. I'm very curious to hear that. If you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Remember, there's 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, right? Got the Dolphins game, got Bengals, Broncos. There's a lot to look forward to, lot to be excited about. My good buddy Benjamin Allbright is going to be joining us on the show here to talk us through it, talk us through it. Daniel, how are your overall feelings about this game going into it so far?
For the Bengals Broncos?
Yes.
I'm excited for this. I think that looking at this game, this is one that it has Monday Night Football written all over it. I don't agree necessarily with the full-on spread of 7.5. I see where they're coming from, but this is a close game. And I believe that this is going to be a high-scoring game, to be honest with you. I think that this is one where the 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏-led offense has had trouble so far this year in spurts. They've had trouble, being full-on consistent. But I do think that this could be his get-right game, to be honest. I think that this could be the game where he comes out and he shows what he did last season. And quite frankly, for as bad as he's been this season, when you compare the start of this season to the start of last season for 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, it's much better this season. So I think that they've got the weapons to do it with guys like Troy Franklin, guys like Courtland Sutton, and they've got the weapons to succeed. But the problem is, so far, they haven't had the ability to be and consistently get every single person involved. That's been my biggest concern, right? Because you got guys like J.K. Dobbins, who's been getting his 11, 12 carries a game. But guys like Troy Franklin, who I think is extremely talented, guys like R.J. Harvey, who's extremely talented, they haven't been able to get them fully involved in the offense every single week. And I just attribute that to it being 3 weeks into the season. So the way I look at this, I think that the Bengals, they're going to have their chances, but it comes down to this offense, and it comes down to how the ability to have their rushing attack marry with the passing attack. That's what it comes down to, because like I said, Jake Browning right now is favored on Vegas to throw an interception. He's -210 to throw a pick, and you're facing one of the better defenses in the NFL. So regardless of what people have said in the past of the Bengals rushing game sucks, it does. It is arguably the worst in the NFL right now.
Listen, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that. But my guy, Benjamin Allbright, is in the back, man. Let's bring him in. Bengals reporter, NFL insider, Benjamin Allbright. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good, brother. Good, brother. It's weird, man. I don't feel like the Bengals and Broncos play this frequent, because we had you on the show last year, the first episode of the morning show last year. But, man, listen, now you're joining us here, man. So we appreciate you, brother. Listen, I got a couple of questions I want to ask you, just because I want to familiarize myself with the Broncos. What do you think some of the keys to victory it is for Denver tonight in order to get a victory against Cincinnati?
Well, score more points than the other team and hold them to less points, right? No, I mean, as you look at this team, the defense has got to continue to play at a high level. I mean, the one thing that the Broncos do extremely well on defense is generate pass rush, get after the passer, create sacks, create opportunities for turnovers. The area where they are susceptible is the area where the Bengals have not been particularly great so far. It's in the ground game. The Broncos have the lightest defense in the NFL. They tend to get run on. You go back and look last year against a good running teams, they got run on. Look at Buffalo, look at Baltimore. They got run on. So that's one of the things that, I talked to somebody on that Bengals staff earlier this week, and they kind of identified, like, hey, we got to get the ground game going. This is the team to do it if we're going to do it. We can't let them sit back there and pin their ears back. And so I think for your offense, that's going to be the key. I know the impulse is to pass, but you've got to find ways to creatively run the ball and pick and choose your spots to pass against this defense. On the other side of the ball, this offense is frustrating. Is probably the best way to put it. And it starts with the head coach. The head coach shuffles guys in and out, never lets them get in a rhythm. He'll find things that are working and then find whatever way he can to get away from it, especially if it's running the ball, which they actually do fairly well with J.K. Dobbins. So we'll do that, and then all of a sudden we'll just get away from that from long stretches of time. The timing hasn't been there, especially on the deep stuff this year. And then they're missing 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 more than they're letting on. They don't have a reliable third down guy outside of Courtland Sutton to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
They've tried to get Troy Franklin involved, and he's gotten better than he was last year. I think it'd be impossible to do worse, but he's not he's not like a reliable third down guy just yet. He's more of an early down guy that you try to hit on the crosser and get him, get him in space. And then they haven't gotten the tight end involved. Evan Ingram's been a little injured. That's one that figures to be an emphasis point tonight, a hot button one tonight. So kind of keep your eye on that.
It's so funny you talked about that because obviously we give our betting advice and so much stuff on this show as well. Evan Ingram is a guy that I'm looking at. I think his receptions are like at plus money as well. But you kind of touched on it a little bit. If you could talk to me a little more about that. It seems like people are been lower on Bo Nix. I'm sorry, not Baker Mayfield, Bo Nix. Do you think that the criticism this year has been justified? Do you think it's a little bit of a slump he's going through? Or do you think he's going to break out of that?
I think that there's truth to both of those things. I think the criticism is definitely justified, and at the same time, I do feel like he'll be a little bit better than he's been.
Yeah.
When he came out, I kind of compared him to Derek Carr as a prospect. A guy who came from a system that lets you inflate the numbers a little bit. A guy who's got more mobility than you think he does. Nick's is a little more willing to use his legs than Derek Carr ever was, but a guy who's a bit of a slow learner, but once he gets going, you can win with him, that kind of thing. And so I think he and Carr are pretty comparable quarterbacks. Now, having said that, I think Broncos are certainly hoping to get more success out of Bo than Derek Carr got, with the Raiders. I think, I think Bo's, I don't want to say he's regressed mechanically because I kind of hate that term, but he's picked up some bad habits over the course of this offseason. Throwing off the tiptoes, it's putting some arrow to the ball. It's letting him sail on him a little bit. He's got to remedy and correct those things, and then he's got to start finding guys in the middle of the field. Can't just play the sidelines and the deep shot all game and the line of scrimmage and hope to win. And Sean's going to have to dial things up to kind of force him into that. With Evan Ingram, I mean, that's your between the 20s guy. That's a guy who creates space and can be a between the 20s guy. One thing I will tell your listeners, if you're looking to sprinkle a little money and go for the long shot on the anytime touchdown today, look at 𝗦𝗡𝗢𝗏𝗏𝗏. He's the guy they kind of swap out using the low red zone as the touchdown guy. So kind of keep your eye on that as a potential anytime touchdown guy.
We got ourselves a little long shot. I
All
like
right,
that.
Ben. All right, Ben, dropping some gems. Okay.
I love that. So I got a question for you, Ben, and we appreciate you having you on the show. A lot of people make a lot of this Pat Surtain versus Ja'Marr Chase matchup. I just want to get your perspective. Is this something that fans can expect Surtain to follow Ja'Marr Chase around? And if not, how do you view that matchup one-on-one as well as the opposite corner with Moss and facing T. Higgins?
No, you won't expect him to follow him the whole time. He'll probably be on him roughly 70%, give or take. I mean, the Broncos run like a field boundary system. It's not just cat coverage. I mean, it looks like it is because it's a lot of cover one and man and C3 and stuff. But reality is it's more of a field boundary system. He'll be on Chase probably 70% of the time. But I mean, last year he got that forced fumble on T. Higgins when he was covering T. Higgins. So it'll move around, and I imagine that the Bengals will try to line some shots up when Chase gets on Moss. Moss is a good corner. Moss is the most targeted corner in the NFL right now, and he's actually playing pretty well. He's given up 2 touchdowns, both of which were insane. One of them was perfectly covered. The other one was that throw everybody saw last week where Herbert, got around Benito. Those are the 2 touchdowns Moss has given up. So while you have some people talk about Moss and they're like, Moss would be a starting corner on a number 1 corner on about half the teams, 12 teams in this league. He's just number 2 because he's got Surtain here. The guy you want to try to pick on is out of the slot, and that's 𝗦𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗧. 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 will come in and back him up a little bit, but when McMillion's in there, that's the guy you want to try to get up the seam and try to get the and try to pick on.
For sure. Now, I have a question I want to ask Ben. Ben, I know you guys are a little bit removed from this guy, but it's relevant because he recently was just benched in New York. And obviously with the injury to Joe Burrow and the performance of Jake Browning tonight, people feel like this could dictate what the Bengals should do. I say that very lightly. Do you think the Bengals should trade for Russell Wilson, Ben?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And I will tell you right now, if you do, his big saying is "Let's ride." You just don't realize on the front end that saying is "Let's ride a roller coaster," because it is with Russ, it's live by, die by. I mean, he will make some absolutely insanely incredible throws. He drops the ball in the bucket on the deep stuff. There's a way you can win with Russell Wilson. You just have to play very specifically that way. And if you try to deviate from that, it gets ugly real fast. And that's been the problem since he's left Seattle, is that coaches have tried to turn him into what they need instead of just catering to what he does. When you cater to what he does, I mean, you saw he won a couple of games under Hackett. You saw at the end of the season, actually after Hackett got fired, you saw him winning with Sean Payton. They would do Sean Payton stuff for 3 quarters and he'd look terrible. Then you'd abandon that and let Russ be Russ. And all of a sudden the Broncos they went on that winning streak, before they benched him after because they were trying to get rid of him the whole time. And then you saw, in Pittsburgh, he came out there and blew the doors off initially.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, they would have won that last game if Pat Freiermuth hadn't dropped the ball.
Yep.
So you look at what Russ has done, and I think it's a combination of things. He's unfairly maligned a little bit as being washed, especially by that Giants offensive line, which is absolute trash. And then at the same time, if you want to win with him, you have to play a very specific style of offense, and there's not a lot of coaches that are just patient enough to do that. Pete Carroll was obviously, but not a lot of coaches are. So yes, I do believe with the receivers you have and the penchant for the deep ball Russ has, you're going to take a ton of sacks. You're going to be in 2nd and 15 and 3rd and 18 a lot more than you're comfortable with.
Joe Burrow.
But he's also going to bail you out of that stuff with these insane throws to those insane receivers. So as long as you're willing to play high variance football, you can certainly win with him.
Man, I love that. Dan, you got anything else for Ben?
The last thing I guess I would say is a lot of people have questions, about RJ Harvey and say, when is this guy going to get more touches? Is it a thing with him that it's slowly bringing him along as a rookie? I mean, we're seeing guys like Woody Marks, even Amari and Hampton. It takes time for them. Are you expecting that and his usage to ramp up as the season goes on?
I mean, it'll get a little bit of an uptick, but I tried to warn everybody from the get-go. J.K. Dobbins was running back 1 here. It wasn't close. I mean, in training camp, J.K. was clearly better. And J.K.'s a 3-tool running back. J.K. can catch, J.K. can run, and most importantly, and this is the big reason that R.J. Harvey's not getting as many snaps, J.K. can pass protect. And if you're going to be in a Sean Payton offense, you've got to be able to pass protect. And J.K. and Tyler Bidet both do that. R.J. is not really there. And honestly, I mean, because of his size, it makes it a little difficult for him relative to, I mean, he's not like Jaleel McLaughlin, who's, 175 pounds back there, but still it's tough for him to pass protect a little bit sometimes. And so there are situations where he'd be a liability in the pass game, and Sean Payton does not do liabilities in his precious pass game. So even if you're the world's greatest running back, you're going to be part of a rotation. And if you can't pass pro, you're going to be the back end of that rotation. And we could sort of seen that, whereas Dobbins is getting about 45% of the snaps, and then you see Harvey and Bidet splitting the other 55%. It leaves about a 20-25 split, give or take. Dobbins will continue to be the lead guy as long as he does that. When Harvey earns the coach's trust in pass protection, those numbers will start to tick upward.
Ben, always full of knowledge, man. My man. Give me your prediction really quickly if you want to give one. Bengals versus Broncos, who wins?
I think the Broncos are going to win this one. I don't think a lot of people are projecting a blowout. I'm not exactly on that blowout train. I think the Broncos win this one, but I think you're looking at a mid-20s kind of game for both these teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more field goals than people are maybe used to. So give me something like 20, 26-20, something in that, like a double field goal type game, a weird, not scoregami, but a weird score type game like that, that ends up being a lot of offense that ends in field goals.
Well, listen, brother, thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. On a day that's not game day, I'm definitely going to have you back on the show because I want to get your thoughts on some other things outside of just Broncos, Bengals. There's so much that I want to talk to you more about offline. But, man, listen, I know you got a busy day ahead of you. We appreciate you. Make sure you guys follow Ben if you haven't followed him already. I'm sure that you guys already are. But, Ben, appreciate you, brother.
Hey, for you anytime, man. Let me know.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you. That was my good friend, Benjamin Allbright. Appreciate him for being so gracious with his time. Again, Bengals take on the Broncos tonight. Daniel, let's get to some of our favorite bets. We got obviously Dolphins, Jets, and we got Bengals, Broncos. Give me your favorite bets for tonight.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited for this. We can start off with the Dolphins versus Jets game first. I mean, this is a divisional matchup, but there's some props I absolutely love. It's very simple for me. Target the quarterback, right? And what I mean by that is Justin Fields is a very easy read. It's extremely easy, right? This guy is playing, and obviously he's coming back from his concussion, but when the game breaks down, he is an exceptional runner. Yeah. Exceptional. And not only that, but in the red zone, the New York Jets with Aaron Glenn and this offense have proven that they are going to utilize him in the red zone. In the first game of the season, he scored 2 touchdowns. He had 2 rushes within 5 yards. I'm expecting him to score a touchdown. And for me, plus 195, or you can get at plus 205 on DraftKings. That is phenomenal odds for Justin Fields because, anytime you get in that red zone, you are going to have a chance at a touchdown for Justin Fields because, one, he's always on the field. And number two, when the play breaks down, he utilizes his legs as well. Another key thing about this is the matchup. The Miami Dolphins, respectfully, their outside corners, they suck. So what they tend to do, they do. Yeah. But what they tend to do, especially against a team like the Jets, they don't have a ton of great wide receivers outside of Garrett Wilson. They're going to trust those corners. They're going to say, hey, we're going to play man-to-man. They run man-to-man at the highest rate out of any team in the red zone. Yep. So what happens when you have man-to-man? You've got nobody else on the quarterback. They may have a quarterback spy, but we saw Drake May score a touchdown against them. We saw Daniel Jones score 2 touchdowns, and Josh Allen almost had a touchdown. So I see 3 rushing touchdowns. The quarterbacks before Justin Fields to score a touchdown. I love another one in this game. Malik Washington. I'm all over.
Malik. They're about to say me.
Oh, Malik. Okay. Malik to score a touchdown. Give me, I don't know, what would you be? Plus 350?
All right. I'll probably plus 1,000, but that's neither here nor there. Go ahead.
A little quarterback sneak. But Malik Washington, for me, is the easy read here. I mean, he is gaining the trust of the team. He is gaining the trust of the offensive coordinator. He's out there in more than 50% of the snaps. And we saw over the past 3 games, every single game, his touches are increasing. Last game, he had 6 touches, not just in the receiving game, but as a runner. He's getting used as the end-around guy. He's getting used in motion. He's getting used in the quick screen game. So for me, I see Malik Washington. There's 2 ways I would play this. His rushing yards, I love. Over 6.5, because like I said, in each of the past 2 games, he's had at least 2 rushes, and a lot of those are designed, manufactured runs. But the way I love this is over 30 rushing and receiving yards. That covers my ass because whichever way he gets the ball, I'm betting on the player. And I think that they're going to keep manufacturing touches to him. Over 30.5 rushing receiving yards is an absolute steal for me.
Well, let me tell you what I like really quickly. I'm loving Mike Gesicki's receptions. I'm loving Evan Ingram's receptions, and I'm loving Chase Brown receptions. Obviously, Noah Fant is out, so I expect Mike Gesicki to get majority of those targets. I expect him to get majority of those targets, and I think he will. And I think he's gonna have a very, very good day. I am just gonna look into that Nate Atkins play that Ben gave us as well, because I know the Bengals have been susceptible to giving plays to the forgotten guy, if you will, on the offense that does some nice things. We saw it. I think we saw it with the Jaguars game, and we saw it. Who was it that they played last week? The Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings as well. So I'll definitely be looking into some plays for that as well. But again, subscribe to the TWSN Patreon to make sure that you get all of our plays. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to either Patreon or on the website. The QR code is literally up above me if you want to do that. We hope that you do that so you guys can make yourself some money. Hey, I want to switch on over really quickly, Daniel, to touch on this to Brian Callahan and Cam Ward, right? Yeah. They've reacted. The Titans are now 0-4, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to be celebratory about, if you will. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to be celebratory about. But I want to get to Cam Ward's reaction to the Tennessee Titans falling to 0-4.
If we keeping a buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have this point. We got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our fucking games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in. Especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all 3 faces. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet, and that's just something that we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better, and we're doing that, but it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but it got to show up next week.
So, in the words of Cam Ward, we ass. We effing ass at this point. That's what he said. Yeah. I love that he's being so real, so critical of his performance and understanding where he is, because it doesn't seem like his head coach is reacting the same way. His head coach seems to be losing a little bit. This was Brian Callahan answering a reporter's question just yesterday in the postgame.
Resilient and relentless football team.
I know what you're doing there, Paul. I know what you're doing, and I'm not going to answer that right now.
Well, I mean, those are the things that you've tried to catch on this football team. You're 20-some games in. Yeah. And you're stuck.
I'm going to just compose myself here before I say something I regret. But yes, I think this team is resilient. I think it is relentless. We haven't played good enough football, and I think those are 2 very distinct, different things. We have to execute at a better level. We have to coach better. That's really all I can say.
Let me control myself. Let me compose myself before I say something. I didn't expect that from Brian Callahan. It seems to me that the losses are piling up. They're mounting and they're starting to get to him, if you ask me. He didn't seem to be his usual level-headed self. It seems to be taking a toll on him a little bit. Daniel, what were your thoughts on that? Because I thought, albeit as I appreciate both of the answers were straight shooters, I felt like they were different still.
Yes.
It felt like one was at his wit's end, the other was more so just annoyed and trying to figure it out. What were your thoughts?
For me, Brian Callahan's backup is up against the wall. He knows it's close to being over. At least that's what I'm taking away from this. And for me, where I struggle with this, and this just on a personal level too, it's if somebody has to say something out loud, let me compose myself before I say something. It's like you're saying that for the attention. If you really mean that, don't say anything. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I have to compose myself before I say something. I'm like, bro, like that wasn't necessary. Like nobody. Like, what are you going to say that's so hurtful? Just say it. If something's on your mind, then just say it. So I thought it was a little corny, to be honest with you, from Brian Callahan. Like, if you're going to say it, look him in the eye and tell him what you feel. If you're pissed off, curse him out. Take the fine. It is what it is. But I agree with you. Their statements were completely different. And I took away Callahan's back is up against the wall, and Cam Ward, he's just trying to figure it out. And whether this is because of their job security, it could be. But Malik, when I was watching this Tennessee Titans team, number one, Cam Ward is their franchise quarterback. He is their guy. He is going to get every chance. They've got to do a better job surrounding him. He has the talent and the raw ability. And when you watch the games, it's not like these other quarterbacks that you say, holy shit, what was that decision? Or, oh my God, like he's missing the easy throws. He's missing Calvin Ridley right through his hands. His wide receivers aren't helping him out. His tight ends aren't helping out. His head coach isn't drawing up manufactured plays to get his guys involved. This is not on Cam Ward. So my takeaway from the 0-4 start, I've been impressed with him. I came in with low expectations for him. I didn't think he was really fully worthy of that number one overall pick. But even his response, that's what you want a leader to say, to be honest with you. That's somebody that, hey, if I was in that locker room, I would rally behind that guy because he's keeping a buck. We ask. Like, we understand that. But from Brian Callahan's standpoint, you got to go out there and you got to prove it. And I just thought it was a weird response. And I'm taking away, like, he feels the pressure and he feels it's very close to being over.
For sure. Let us know down what you guys think in the comment section on the whole Brian Callahan and his future with the Tennessee Titans. Listen, it's not a segment on the show, but two big things happened today. A couple of big things, actually. One of those big things was while we were actually having been on, Cam Robinson got traded. The offensive tackle got traded from the Houston Texans to the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, we know the Cleveland Browns are dealing with a little bit of injuries on the offensive line. So that was news. But obviously, we didn't talk about it. Malik Neighbors tore his ACL. He's out for the year. There are some questions like, where do the Giants go from here? There's something I would like to see the Giants do, Daniel.
I'm not
going to let you guess. I'm not going to let you guess. I'm going to tell you, though, what it is. I think that the Giants should go out there. I think they should sign Odell Beckham. I do. I think because Odell's also talked about that he's not retired. He still wants to play. He still has a lot that he wants to give to the game. He's more so just waiting for the right opportunity and the right team to come calling. Why not finish it all where it started? Why not Odell Beckham just finish his career with the New York Football Giants? He's not explosive. He's not as explosive as Malik Neighbors, but I do think that he can run the offense. I do think he is a capable receiver. I do think he is respected enough, if not from ability, definitely from name, to go out there and make a difference. Now, that will probably involve, Jalen Hyatt giving up that number. But I would also like to see Jalen Hyatt get more involved. I obviously love Darius Slayton, but it's very clear they need another guy out there. And I'm not saying Odell Beckham could fill the shoes of Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is an absolute beast. But I do think Odell Beckham still has the speed. I still think Odell Beckham has the route running tree to earn the respect in the league. I do really. What are your thoughts on that, though?
Yeah, I can see it. I just don't think it doesn't move the needle. But I mean, they need something. I agree with you. Like, you look at this team, especially with Joe Shane and Brian Dable. Like, despite your win, you're backs are still up against the wall. You still got to go out there and perform, because I do think that they are 1,000% on the hot seat. Go out and sign them. It's not like you're giving up anything for it, right? Give up $1 million, maybe, I don't know, 1.5 for Odell Beckham for the rest of the season.
Have to deal with some TikToks and some dances, probably. That's probably what you have to deal with. One thing that happened as well, man, that was huge. It's really sports related, but it's not really. EA was just acquired.
A lot of money, I think.
EA was just acquired, man. And so we'll see what the landscape has on the future of the Madden video games, the whole 9 yards, because definitely the NFL would have to be in bed with the new owners of EA to make this happen. Now, EA is going to be switched over to a private company as well. So it's going to be interesting. Wow. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there with the future of EA gaming, the whole 9 yards. Listen, there's so much more that we could get into, but guess what? That is why we have the morning show on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We want to thank you guys for spending your morning with us and making the Sit Down Morning Show a part of your regular routine. Thank you to all our guests, Blake, Flynn, Benjamin, Allbright. We appreciate you guys for your awesome insight. We appreciate that all of you decided to look at our faces to start your Monday morning off. Remember, Dolphins, Jets tonight, Bengals, Broncos tonight. We'll have our favorite plays on the TWS and Patreon. Make sure you subscribe so you can win yourself a little bit of money. And remember, there's only one way you should be waking up, talking sports, having the conversation, and that is the right way. We'll see you guys on Thursday.
This is TWS.